Hello everyone. In this video we'll be doing a refinishing, a restoration of this china cabinet. And I say restoration and not refinishing because we're not gonna sand it down and restain it or paint it or anything like that. What we're gonna do is repair it, all the things that are damaged, and then kind of clean it and buff it, and so we preserve that original finish on it. And so this china cabinet had some issues, mostly with the doors. The veneer, it had a really pretty veneer like border around every door and around the glass in every door, and I don't know if it was exposed to like moisture or temperature swings, like high temperatures or what, but the glue was pulling loose on so many places on this veneer. So like what I'm trying to do is, like this piece here, I'm just injecting as much glue as I can under there, and then I'm using tape. You'll see the tape a lot. I'm using tape as a clamp. So once you put glue in there, then you can tape it and kind of pull it tight, and it'll hold it in place until the glue dries. And that tape, I really like it. I just got it before this job, and it's not really sticky like masking tape. It's less sticky even than like blue painter's tape, and so it doesn't pull any finish off. It doesn't leave any residue. It's really nice. But like this long piece down this side, it was coming up in several places, but I figured it was better just to pull the whole piece up and then re-glue the whole piece back down, as opposed to trying to inject glue into, you know, like 6 or 8 different places all the way down it. So that's what I did here. And it was a struggle to get it up because some places were still glued pretty good. So I just took the razor blade and kind of slowly worked it until I could get it all pried up. And there it's up, and now I'm just going to sand off the old glue and take this Type Bond Quick and Thick. It's pretty good. It's a PVA glue, and it dries clear, and then it holds pretty good, and it dries pretty fast, like maybe 15-20 minutes. So I'll put that on there and then tape it down all the way, and we'll go from there. All right, so this is all our repairs on one door, and this is just the existing stuff. This is not putting in the stuff that's missing yet. So this is just putting down what we have or what's coming loose. So now I got 7 more doors to do, and then we can start working on replacing what's missing. Okay, so everywhere there is green tape, that's repairs I just had to do to the veneers that were not missing but just coming loose. So a lot of repairs to do on those, and then here's the other ones. So now I can turn my attention, while that glue's drying on those, I'll turn my attention to the cabinets. So I'm about to clean them. I'm gonna wash them down with my we're gonna use a little bit of Dawn dish soap and water. And then I've got my biggest things is I've got to tackle this side here, that bottom there, and then a little bit under there, and then this piece is missing, but that's easy. I just got to make a piece like this and put it here, and then I got to reattach that back. It's coming loose, but that'll get cleaned, repaired, and then that'll be waxed, and then the bases will be done, and then I got to do the actual repair work on the doors. So my process for anytime I work with a piece of furniture, I always clean it first to get all the oils and grease and everything off of it. And so first I like to vacuum it, get loose stuff out, dust, all that stuff, and then I'll take and wash it down. And you can actually wash wood furniture, clean it. You just don't want to have it soaked. So the rag is just damp, and this is just Dawn dish soap and water on this one. So that is the water from wiping down just those two pieces. All right, so on the base, this was kind of the worst part. There was like it looked like a dog had kind of chewed up the side and scratched it pretty bad. So I figured the easiest way to fix it is just pull that veneer off where it's damaged and just replace it. So I have this piece of veneer here, and this was actually a piece of cherry. I couldn't tell exactly what the veneer was on the side of the piece. Maybe a mahogany, or it could have been cherry, I don't know, but it looked very similar. But basically I used the replacement piece as a template and scored a line down, and now I'm just cutting away all that veneer that's there, and I'm going to stay within that line. And I switched over to the chisel because it worked a lot better than that putty knife. But it was kind of tedious just to get it all down flat. And then when I did, there was a couple of the big divots I had to fill with filler. And so now it's ready for the new veneer to go on, and we're using contact adhesive, and it's pretty good stuff. You want to basically coat both surfaces and let it dry completely before you put them together. And so I just carefully coated this area, made sure not to get any over on the finish side, and just one nice, you don't need to like try to glob it on or anything like that, just a nice even coat on there, and then a nice even coat on your veneer. And the biggest thing people mess up with contact cement is not waiting for it to dry all the way. For some reason, I don't understand it, but some reason when it's if it's still kind of wet, it doesn't stick to each other. But then once it's dry, you touch it together and it's permanent. So I'm just coating that, and then I'm gonna do some other stuff while those are drying. And so like this right here, this is a 2-part epoxy putty, and the color is mahogany, so it's already kind of a dark color. So you mix it up, and then it hardens in like 10-15 minutes. And so for the places that the wood is missing, or like where there's big chunks missing, I'm just mixing up some of this and putting it in place, and then I'll sand it kind of back to the shape of the cabinet. And then I don't think I got any video of it, but I'll stain it and put some finish on it too, so it kind of blends in. You'll always be able to see it. It's not like a perfect match or a perfect way of hiding it, but it does pretty well. And for the speed and for what we're working with here, it was the best option. So I just work that in, and I always build it up like a little proud, well, a good bit proud, like put way more than I need. The downside of that is it's harder to sand it and file it and shape it back down, but the positive to that is you always have plenty there, so you can get your shape back. So like on this piece here, that was a chunk of wood that was missing off the front, and so I packed it in there pretty good. And then you'll see here shortly that once it was dry, I was able to take some chisels and files and sandpaper and things like that, and just work it until it was matched the shape to the rest of the cabinet. So that's drying now, so I'm gonna put this veneer on here while I'm letting the putty dry. So I'm trying to be productive and jump back and forth as much as I can. So you see, I lined it up with that seam that I'd cut, and then I put it on and kind of pressed it really firmly in from the center outwards, and try to get it nice and flat and nice and secured. And it did. I mean, it's on there good. So then I just take a knife, cut across, and you got to be careful when you cut at the top like this, because you're cutting across the grain, and so a lot of times it could break, things like that. So I just cut it a little tall, like a little proud, and then I'll come back like with sandpaper here and just gently sand it down until it's level with the top of the cabinet. And I sanded the veneer lightly, and now I'm staining it. And I did two different stains to try to get the match I was looking for. One of them was a NGR dye stain, which it dries really, really fast. And then this one was a more like a traditional stain. And I just wanted that because the cabinet had some like reddish undertones to it. So I wanted to make sure that cherry had that undertone I was looking for. And then I come back with this color that was more similar to the color of the rest of the cabinet. And you can see here, I think this is after one coat of clear. What I did was I kind of like feathered the clear. I put one coat on just the new stuff, and then I sanded with 320 over, maybe like an inch or two over onto the old finish, and then put like another coat and basically kind of feathered it on until it went across the whole panel. And so we're back to the putty. The putty's dry, so now I'm shaping it with some files. I have my chisel there that I cut like where it goes back, excuse me, where it goes back into those like rounded sections. I kind of cut it back into there, and then I just take the file and just try to file it best I can. This was going really slow, so I ended up using my sander, and you can see there that you can get the profile pretty much exactly like the other profile. It works kind of like wood, so I did that, and then I didn't film it, but I come back later and stained it and stuff like that. But now we're back at the door, another door. So this was the second phase of, this was the second phase of repairing the doors. So the first phase, when I went through, I repaired everything that was coming off, and some pieces came off completely, and so that left me a good bit of little stray, like random pieces. And so then after the initial repair was done, I came back with all my little pieces that were off of the cabinet itself, and they're perfect matches. So then I put them in where I could, everywhere that was missing a piece. And so after I do that, then I'll have to actually make up some new veneer and then put it in. And there's no way to ever get 100% match, at least not for me, because there's no telling what type of wood, the finish, where it come from. But I got pretty close when I made the veneer, and I'll show you that in a little bit. The process of what I actually had to go through to get pieces to fit. But here I'm just gluing these pieces. These are all the extra pieces, you could call it, pieces that had fallen off completely. So that was kind of like phase 2 of the repair, and then phase 3 would be getting the brand new stuff and putting it on. So this is one of the smaller doors. Here I am looking through my scrap pieces, leftover pieces that I had that had fallen off, and seeing what gives me the best match to put back in those places. And then if I didn't have anything, I just left it, and then I got that when I came back later and made the new veneer. So the reason I have all these clips in here, it's kind of like the same thing, but I have a lot of clips in it because I just wanted to show like how much work it was in this. I had probably, 20 hours or so in this job, 25 hours, something like that. And so it took a lot to get all of it done. And so that's why the video is kind of long, and it shows a lot of more drawn out stuff. So here, this is one of the doors that did all the repairs, all the replacements, and now it's time to create new pieces that we don't have. And so like for this arch piece here, these are some of the trickier ones. But basically I'll take some tape and just trace out the piece, what it needs to look like out of the tape. And then I can take that piece of tape, transfer it over to a piece of veneer, and then cut that shape out. And so that's what I'm doing here. You see that piece of tape basically mimics the shape that our veneer needs to be. And so I'm just trying to make sure it's as close as I can get it, because it's a lot easier just to trim that tape. And so I have this piece of veneer. This was a piece of really, really curly oak. And I used it, I think the original veneer on the cabinet was probably some kind of a mahogany or something. I'm not 100% sure. But the curl in the oak matched. It had a lot of curl in some of the veneer, so it was a pretty good match. So the grain was a little different, and it kind of stands out a little to me, but the look matched pretty good. But so you see, I'm just carefully cutting that piece of veneer out, and that should be our shape. But one tricky thing about this whole project was regular veneer is like, say, 30 mils thick. It's like, say, 30 thousandths of an inch, you know. But all the veneer that was on that cabinet was about 60. It was about double that. And so what I had to do for every piece that I put on there, I had to take it and glue it to another piece to get it thick enough. And so this piece, I was just showing my belt sander, the belt broke and I didn't have another one. So this was another piece I made the same way with the tape and cut it out to shape, but my shape was a little off. So I had to go back and forth between the sander and holding it in place and trying to get the shape just right, because if your arch isn't, if you don't have like a smooth arc to it, it'll stand out bad, and if it's the wrong width, it'll stand out bad too. So I was just working it back and forth from the piece to the sander, and you'll see this a lot. Basically every door that I had to repair, it was like this, back and forth, and I'll show a little more detail in a little bit. I really captured it pretty good, the process of just getting one piece on there. But so this arch piece, once I was pretty happy with it, I got those clippers. Those trimmers are actually for, you probably see me use them a lot in this video. They're actually for cutting like shoe mold and trim like that, but they work really good on the veneer. So that's why I use that. It also has like built-in angles and stuff too. So like if you got to cut a 45 or whatever, but you can see here, you can't cut a 45 on an arc but you got to reference off a flat surface, but you know what I mean. But see, I still had some overhang on that, and then the inside was a little off. So for the outside, it was easy. I marked it with a pencil, and I can come in and easily sand. The inside, the sander won't fit, so I had to hand sand it to kind of smooth it out. And you got to be careful you don't snap the veneer, because they're not the strongest thing in the world. So after the back and forth, I think I was pretty happy with that. Still needed the corner. I couldn't get it straight enough with the little snippers, so I just lined it up and did it with my chisel. And so this one, you can see there's like a pattern to the old veneer and not to this one. So what I'm doing here is kind of like making a faux pattern on it. So I have some stain, and I take a thin brush and I brush those stripes into it. And basically you're trying to mimic the look on from the other piece. And so I can kind of take and work, it's almost like painting. I can work some stain in, and then I can, if I get too much, I can take some lacquer thinner and kind of thin it back out, which is what I'm doing here. But it's important to note that that piece it was already stained and already had clear on it. So I'm not brushing stain on raw wood, I'm brushing the stain over the top coat. And so it kind of builds up layers. And so you'll see in a minute, I'll just hold it up once I get it done. But this is a kind of a tricky and time-consuming part here. But that just gave me those like radial waves kind of that match the other pieces. And here it was a little bit I wasn't quite happy with, so I just come back one more time with the lacquer thinner. And then this is something else I had to do for every single piece, because I had to glue up two pieces together to get the thickness I wanted. I had to stain all the edges of all the pieces too before I glued them down. And then of course, since we have stain on here, we have to add some clear. So I just brought it back and spraying some clear coat on it once the stain dried. And a little bit right there. Whoop. Okay, so here's like, I left this part at the end of the video to show kind of like the whole process of cutting out and getting a piece to match and all of that. And so I thought I had a good idea with this, where I could lay a straight edge down on top of the veneer I'd glued up and just cut it. But it didn't really work good. The veneer, it kind of bowed in the middle, and so my piece was like bowed. It wasn't a straight cut. So then because of that, I had to come up with a way to kind of straighten up the piece. And so what I did is I took my hand plane and I stuck it in the drawer right here, and it kind of holds it in place. And I just had to take each piece and run them across the plane until it got perfectly flat on each side. And so that took a little bit of time, but it wasn't terrible. The plane is sharp, and it worked great. That was the only way I could think to take them down. And then I got a little piece there, one of my old pieces from a door, and I was just checking and comparing widths. And everywhere that the new piece was a little wider, I just come back across the plane and just narrowed it down some, and then made it match the existing stuff. Here's that little piece I'd made off camera. Just made a little piece of trim and stained it up to match. And so I used hide glue on this just because hide glue's dark, and going up against that decorative molding, if regular glue had squeezed out, and you might see it or whatever. So the repair, it looks pretty good. You can still see, which is wet now because I had to spray that whole side. You can still see a little bit of the difference, but it definitely looks a lot better than it did. It was missing and had all that dog scratches. But now comes the fun part of waxing all of this. So the insides look good. I'm just doing the outsides around the bottom, the top trim, and then the fronts, the bottom, the drawer faces, and the sides. Obviously I can't do this side until tomorrow. And then I had to glue up some more veneer. These are the last 3 doors I have to repair. All the rest of them are all the way repaired. Tomorrow they'll get washed like I did the cabinet, and then they'll get waxed and they'll be ready to go back on. So, almost done. So this part, this is some paste wax and 4/0 steel wool, so ultrafine steel wool. And I'm mixed about this step of the process because it makes it look really pretty, but it's kind of aggravating to do. And so you basically take the wax, and it's a blend of different waxes, and you rub it in with the 4/0 steel wool, and it kind of buffs into the finish. And the reason I do it is because for one, it kind of rehydrates, so to speak, the old finish that's there, and it also offers a layer of protection. The waxes offer a layer of protection, and then it gives it kind of a shine, and it looks better. So multiple reasons to do it. What you have to remember with this is you want it really thin, like super thin. If it gets too thick, you're not going to be able to buff it back off, and it's going to look hazy and streaky. So it's kind of like buffing a car, only more aggravating if you've ever waxed a car. But you basically have to get in every crevice, every area with that, and then once it dries, then you come back with like a microfiber. Use a microfiber or use like a terry cloth or whatever, and then I buff it, and that'll bring up the shine. So this piece was aggravating with all those little detailed parts up top. Had to buff in, by hand each one of those, but other than that, it's not too terrible. But like I said earlier in the video, I didn't do anything on the inside of the cabinets. They were in great shape. So I'm just doing this to the outside because it had a good bit of damage and wear. So I'll show in just a minute the difference. Hopefully you can see. So you can see it has a good bit of shine, and it just cleans it and kind of protects it. See, that's waxed and then versus not waxed. So it's not like a drastic difference. Okay, here's the part I left in the video so you can see. I switched over to using a marking knife or a marking gauge for cutting the strips. It was better than that ruler deal. But basically, I measured out the width of a strip I needed, marked it, and then I cut it with my razor knife. And I'm not perfect at cutting straight lines. I don't know anybody that is. And so you can see I'm taking it, cutting it roughly to, well, actually I'll cut it exactly to length, but it's still a little bit too wide. And so you see I line it up, and I can feel it hangs over the edge, so it's too wide on the edge. So I just have to go back to the hand plane, plane it down some, make sure I got straight edges, and now I'm taking away from the width. So it's back and forth a bunch. So put it on, I can still feel some overhang, back to the hand plane it down some, back to the piece, check it again. Still got a little bit of overhang on the end or on the side. Plane that little bit there, put it back. So it's a lot of back and forth. And then once that's done, then I got to do the edges like I did on the other piece. And then we glue it and tape it and all that stuff, just like with all the other pieces. So there really was a lot of work went into this piece. And then once I finished, I didn't show it because it's just redundant. But once I finished gluing all the doors, doing all the repairs, I took all the tape off. I washed them with a little bit of Dawn dish soap and water like I did the cabinet. And then once they were dry, then I did the wax on those as well. And then I reassembled everything. I didn't show it because it's already long enough video as it is. I can't say enough about that tape though. That was great tape. So here is the china cabinet. The doors are back on. It is done. Everything's been waxed and repaired. There's the base. And so they're ready for delivery. So we have to deliver them to the customer's home next. There's that side. It turned out a pretty good match there. I was happy with it. There's still a little bit, like if I was nitpicky, I still would want to do a little more to it, but I think it was a really good match. And you can see it, for the most part, all the veneer replacement was a pretty good match. And there it is in their home. They liked it. It looked great in their home. This is as we were kind of getting it settled in place. But everything turned out really nice, and it was a good way to save a piece from the landfill, or, bring new life into a piece.